Hi, how are you today? I'd like to talk to you about psychics and supernatural beings. Ooh. What if I told you that I could predict your future using tarot cards? I can tell you about romance, business, work, travel, and just about anything else you desire. Would you be interested? Would you pay me money? Would you follow my advice? Would you become my regular customer? I used to read tarot cards for free, but I never claimed to be a psychic. People used to tell me I was accurate. I believed I was using my intuition. I also used to hunt ghosts, and I did so in both the USA and Indonesia. But any TV show, radio show, movie, or other media format that presents haunted locations and psychics such as mediums, clairaudience, clairvoyance, telekinetics, healers, fortune tellers, including crystal ball readers, tarot card readers, tea leaf readers, head readers, phrenology, ghost catchers, and those religious figures who claim to talk to God and use God's power as anything other than magicians and entertainment has no respect for the audience and is only looking for money, ratings, and attention. If you partake in such things with any hope of anything other than entertainment, you risk at the very least the loss of that money, and at the worst being defrauded of your wealth, or even having your sanity damaged. Some instances of traumatic death have occurred after a blow to the sanity. Wow. Sounds pretty bad, right? They don't care if the psychic legitimately believes they have powers or are scammers, nor do they care if what the psychic communicates will be emotionally damaging or result in you being defrauded of money and or possessions, or for that matter, if you are harmed or die as a result of these locations and frauds. You should never trust any company, organization, or agency that purports to offer psychic purposes unless you can set up a scientifically controlled experiment with magicians present to detect fraud, and the person passes whatever tests are devised. To my knowledge, famous magicians like Harry Houdini, Darren Brown, James Randi, and other professionals who debunk or debunked psychics has ever found a person who was able to demonstrate their supposed powers in a controlled setting. In fact, James Randi had an entire TV show in which he offered thousands of dollars to any person who would come on stage and demonstrate to the world what they could do. They all failed. Some were offered thousands of dollars to prove their skills, while others were transported to a different country to complete testing and be given the chance to prove to a larger audience that they are worth your money. None have succeeded. Yet despite this, people will defend the debunked expert and pour money into that person's accounts, getting nothing but entertainment, flattery, and false hopes in return. Some, tragically, have heard statements from psychics that were so horrible that they died of a heart attack or committed suicide as a result. That is unacceptable. That is shocking. Two of the most common techniques used by mediums and other scammers are cold reading and hot reading. Cold reading is where you say things that have a high statistical probability of someone saying, "Yes, that's me," and you continue to say these kinds of things. For example, I'm getting a message from someone whose name starts with an M or J. Given the popularity of names like Mary, Michael, Mark, John, James, and Joseph, the odds are very high, at least in Western Christian societies, that almost no one in an audience cannot think of a deceased person with a name starting with M or J. Cold reading also makes use of an understanding of sociology, psychology, history, and other scientific areas. Hot reading is the act of deliberately seeking and collecting information about people in an audience or clients, if that's the way they're doing it, in an individualized setting, In religious meetings, this is often accomplished using prayer cards, where each person fills out a card with their name, address, prayer requests, and other information that will be used during the time that God supposedly gives that religious figure the power to know things on the cards that are transmitted to that person via a concealed earpiece from team members watching via cameras and microphones, which are also used to collect information before and during the prayer meeting. In addition, the team will also use any online resources they have, including paying for services that provide profiles of people for a fee, social media, personal websites, and other sites, and then tell the pastor via the communication system that's being used. A famous example of this was exposed by James Randi, a magician and psychic debunker, whose team caught radio transmissions from the wife of Peter Popoff, a popular religious leader on television, to Peter himself, which he then used to manipulate his already prepped and gullible congregation. Even after he was exposed, he continued to defraud people as a religious figure because many of them believed him over the evidence presented, albeit using somewhat different techniques to defraud his gullible followers of their money, as do many other religious figures and fake psychics. Now, in the case of a psychic, they may use somewhat different techniques when it comes to hot reading. If they can get into your house, they'll ask to go to the bathrooms because they know that oftentimes family photos are posted on the hallway to the bathroom. They can also dig around in your bathroom, look at your medicine cabinet to see what kind of medicine somebody might be on, and dig up information that way, and maybe pocket something in the process. Sounds pretty bad. I mean, there are other things that they use. They use psychology and all kinds of stuff. But I've only ever met one person in my life who could repeatedly demonstrate to me any psychic ability, which were clairvoyance and telekinesis, in ways that were absolutely impossible to be explained using magic tricks. You see, because I had complete control over the situation. One person in 55 years of my life. Everybody else that's ever claimed to me that, oh, I see ghosts or anything like that, has never provided any definitive proof. Not even close to a shred of evidence to support their claims. One person. She did not ever say that she was able to talk to the dead or anything. As for my own ability to read tarot cards, I eventually learned through learning about magic and psychology that I was deluding myself, albeit modestly, and that I was using cold reading, which again is the practice of using statistics and psychology to make people think you're a mind reader, and my understanding of sociology, human nature, and psychology instead of intuition or God-given power. The fact that I repeatedly had people who said my predictions of the future were correct just goes to show how much I understand about people and how gullible they are, and the failures I had show how little I understand people. And regarding my ghost hunting, I never found any. I went to some of the most haunted places in the locales I was in, including a forest hunted by a witch, a graveyard with a particular grave that was haunted by some vile creature, and the very famous Lawang Sewu, which is Javanese for 1,000 doors, which was used for multiple purposes over a very long period of time in Semarang, Central Java, including military, hospital, railway company office, and tourist attraction. As of now, it is owned by the Heritage Unit of KAI, which is the National Train Company, and is a museum and heritage railway gallery. I explored almost every building from the foundations to the attics, despite reputedly housing some 36 or more makhluk halus, or supernatural creatures of various types, including ghosts, some of which were supposedly dangerous. I never sensed any of them. Even with the lights off in the foundation. That was kind of scary, I must admit. It was pitch black down there. Because it's all poured concrete, and it's big and scary, and lots of passages and areas where there's lots of water and stuff like that. So it was spooky. I also possess several knives from Indonesia, including some keris, which are a wavy-bladed dagger traditionally made of meteoric metal, some of which supposedly contained a spirit, but despite the stories told to me by my wife's family and friends, I never experienced any proof. So that is what I wanted to share with you. Please, if you're going to go to a psychic because you want to be amused and entertained, not because you're hoping for communication with a lost loved one, not because you want to find somebody who's been kidnapped, not because you're hoping to get rich or anything else, because the only person who's going to benefit from it all is the fraud. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.